In press conferences, is kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Ready to roll? Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I can't tell you how excited we are about this announcement today. You know, today we're at the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, better known as Amii. And this is one of the platforms I think should be one of the highest profile platforms that we have in this province. Alberta is at the forefront of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and more Albertans need to know that very fact. And one of the things that we have to have here in Alberta is a conversation about how do we take this amazing, leading, innovating sector that we have. We are literally leaders in the world in this industry. And how do we take it to that next level? How do we make sure that they're set up for success? So I'm really proud here today to be with Cam Linke, the president of Amii, as well as Laura Kilcrease from Alberta Innovates, and my colleague Nate Glubish, the Minister of Service Alberta, to talk to you about the opportunities ahead and making sure that Albertans know that they have a bright future, that we're going to come out of this pandemic with a stronger presence in technology, because all businesses now are technology. From ordering your coffee like I did this morning with my phone, to making sure you get your groceries, to ordering anything you want on Amazon. Technology is a fabric of every business today, and it's going to be further integrated into every single business of tomorrow. So right now in Alberta, we have an opportunity to lead. And this investment with Amii, $5 million coming from TIER to work with us on clean tech solutions, $4 million coming from Alberta Innovates to make sure that we can commercialize the ideas into companies and jobs. That is what we're talking about here today. It's about diversification, but not just diversification for diversification's sake. It's about making sure that we have the opportunities for those future generations to attract the types of jobs of now and tomorrow, to make sure that everybody knows that Alberta is the place that they want to do business. Just yesterday, we put a flag in the ground for the province of Alberta that we are going to be first to lead in intellectual property. Other jurisdictions have talked about it. Other jurisdictions have been slow to the gun on this to get there by 2021. We want to see if we can get there faster. We want to beat them to the punch. This is a new tone from our government when it comes to technology and enabling these people that have been doing this hard research for years. We are literally at the forefront of this opportunity in the entire world. And Albertans need to know about this opportunity because it's been too quiet for too long. Not enough people know about the amazing work that Amii is doing and the opportunities it can have to unlock solutions for the future. And it's not just about jobs. It's about saving lives. This technology applied in the health space will save thousands, if not millions of lives when it's applied. Same thing when it comes to businesses. They'll save millions of dollars when it comes to their operations and efficiencies that they can find. This is the path forward for Alberta. And we are at a strategic advantage across the whole country right here in the city of Edmonton with Amii. That is why we're so excited about this announcement here today, so excited to make sure that we get this right for Albertans. And with that, I'd like to invite Cam up to speak a little bit more about the initiative here.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Amii was founded to enable Alberta to lead the world in artificial intelligence and machine learning through conducting world-leading research and translating scientific advancements into economic impact. Since we launched in 2018 as one of 3 institutes in the Pan-Canadian AI strategy, we have leveraged our 18-year history of research excellence at the University of Alberta to catalyze and scale growth in Alberta's AI and industry landscapes. In doing so, we've accelerated digital transformation in businesses, helping them gain access to new talent, grow and upskill their existing teams, and move them along the spectrum of AI adoption towards creating a more resilient, competitive, and diversified Alberta. It's thanks in large part to crucial investments made by the Government of Alberta, by Alberta Innovates, and by CFAR that we can do what we do. Here at Amii, we cultivate talented individuals. Since 2018, we've added 12 primary researchers to our team of fellows at the University of Alberta, including 10 established researchers who relocated to Alberta to be with our team and to be at the forefront of innovation and continue to build our best-in-class talent pipeline. Our researchers train some of the most talented students in the world. Our alumni have gone on to raise over $500 million in venture capital, and companies we've worked with over the last 2 years have raised over $100 million in venture funding. Across industries, companies from around the world are speeding up innovation by accessing our homegrown talent. US-based Funnel AI is building their Canadian AI arm here with Amii through accessing our internship program and our talented machine learning lead program. The world's most innovative AI companies like DeepMind have set up here to be able to access our talent. We use our research to help some of the most pressing challenges. Our researchers have joined the global fight against COVID, enabling drug discovery, creating a virtual data lab, detecting and monitoring illness, and tracking things like mental health during the pandemic. We've lent our advanced research expertise to the Roche Data Science Coalition, a partnership between public and private organizations, which has developed over 100 digital solutions to pandemic-related challenges. It's created a central repository for population data sets and deepened the relationship between Alberta and international stakeholders. Over the last 2 years, we've ramped up efforts to drive AI adoption throughout industry sectors such as energy, health, agriculture, and supply chain. Recently, the announcement of the Amii program, funded by the Alberta government, is helping further advance our competitiveness in the energy and agriculture industries by applying machine learning to reduce emissions. We've partnered with companies like Imperial Oil, Shell Scotford, Net Energy, Climate Corp, Willow Glen to help them gain new technologies and advance their organizational efforts. We've also worked with local startups like Drug Bank, Meadow AI, and Samdesk that are applying the latest research and innovations to commercial technologies. As just one example, working with Okaki, a Calgary-based health analytics company, we've helped them move from exploring uses of AI to implementing machine learning to help doctors better predict and prevent opioid overdoses. These are just some of the many companies we've worked with here, and we continue to scale that effort and accelerate the success of these companies and create more jobs and opportunities. We're training and upskilling Alberta's workforce for the roles and jobs of the future. In just 2 years, we've seen over 80,000 people around the world take our specializations online, and that same world-leading education is being taught here to upskill our workforce, where in the last 9 months, we've had over 100% increase in the number of enrollments in our technician program, and we've trained over 1,400 employees in our corporate and individual training programs. Already, Alberta is a leader in the science of AI, and we're solidifying our place as leaders in the business of AI. Here in Alberta, technology is big business, and AI is at the center of it, creating value and creating competitive advantage. With the continued support of the Government of Alberta and Alberta Innovates, we're excited to continue our role in leading out the province's economic recovery. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm Laura Kilcree, CEO of Alberta Innovates. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about Amii this morning. Technology such as artificial intelligence is increasingly enabling us to see way beyond the obvious, to find new opportunities and solutions previously hidden to us in everyday life. You know, our strong capability and capacity in artificial intelligence is essential for Alberta to be successful. There is estimated that artificial intelligence could add up to $16 trillion, and I'm going to say that again, trillion dollars to the global economy's output over the next decade. And we need to fundamentally transform and disrupt every sector in this region for their benefit to get a piece of that $16 trillion. You know, Alberta is home to some of the world's top talent in artificial intelligence, machine learning and reinforced learning, the two areas that we have absolute superior capability on a worldwide competitive basis. And at the University of Alberta, this is where we have chosen to invest over the years and where Amii's base home is, although Amii is everywhere in this province today. The presence of these key researchers to attract companies like Google DeepMind, Google Brain, Mitsubishi, Royal Bank of Canada, and others to set up offices in Alberta to leverage our great expertise and our talent pool is preeminently important for us. This didn't happen by accident, and it didn't happen overnight. The government of Alberta, with Alberta Innovates, has been investing in artificial intelligence research through the University of Alberta and directly into Amii. We've invested $46 million since 2002. And in fact, we helped create Amii, and we're very proud of what it's doing. With the release of the investment and growth strategy yesterday by Minister Schweitzer, who's with us today, we renewed the government's commitment to keep Alberta as a leader in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And personally, I couldn't be happier. For Alberta Innovates, our data and digital technologies are a pillar of our strategy. We recognize how vitally important they are, and we recognize the work that Cam Linke and everyone at Amii is doing in Alberta is going to make a profound difference. You know, data-enabled innovation allows us to manage large, complex blocks of information, to improve decision-making, to give us greater predictability, greater efficiency, and of course, our economic output that comes from that, the wealth that's created for the province. We see our artificial intelligence as an essential tool that allows us to transform all that fabulous data we have here. But don't think it's about what we're going to do, it's about what we're already doing. For example, in AI today, in this province, we're analyzing X-rays and MRIs to get better medical imaging to improve diagnosis for patients. We're using it for hip replacements to give a better outcome for the patient and to save money for the province. We're optimizing water treatment processes. We're detecting anomalies in mass, deep, heavy equipment plants where we need to identify trends and optimize production capability sooner than waiting for something to break. We're making rail and truck transportation systems more evident and more predictable of where we get our products out to the world markets. And we're improving agricultural productivity through autonomous vehicles, soil sensors, imaging, and the use of artificial intelligence there. You can see by adopting AI across all these sectors, health, ag, energy, financial services, logistics, construction and engineering, we can double down on our knowledge-based economy that's building on our traditional economic strengths. You know, Alberta Innovates builds on Alberta's natural strengths in many new ways, not just using data and digital technology and artificial intelligence, but clean technology and other emerging trends where we can pivot to new opportunities to generate economic outcome. As the province innovation engine, we're the catalyst and the activator in the technology and innovation scene across all sectors. We serve entrepreneurs, businesses, researchers, and we take things from discovery to commercialization. To make technical expertise available to you, funding networks, applied research facilities are all accessible to help you de-risk your technologies, stimulate your startups, and I'm going to encourage you again, stimulate your startups and attract funding and investment into Alberta. At Alberta Innovates, we believe innovation is key to the growing economy, expanding markets and creating new and better opportunities for Albertans. You know, artificial intelligence will be a very big part of that growth as people begin to realize the potential and begin adopting it into the multiple sectors in our region today. Albertans can shape their own future. They can shape it with artificial intelligence. But it's not only an economic driver, it's an economic enabler, one that we believe can lead to success and prosperity for you, your children, and your grandchildren. This will be profound. And we know, while we don't know all the things that it's going to achieve, but we will soon know that we will soon realize we didn't know what we would have done without it. Thank you. I'd like to invite Minister Glubish.
Well, thank you, Laura. Very inspiring words, and I think very fitting way to articulate the magnitude of the opportunity we have in Alberta and the extreme level of quality of the talent that we have here, and I just want to talk a little bit about that. I am so excited to be here with this crew to talk about the Alberta technology sector. And in particular, again, as said before me, the world-class expertise we have in artificial intelligence and machine learning in Alberta. I spent over a decade of my life in investing in Alberta-based technology companies and helping them to commercialize their ideas, to attract capital, and to create jobs, and to export their technologies all around the world. And in that time, many of the most exciting companies and innovations in Alberta that I got to see had some element of artificial intelligence and machine learning to their business. Some element of artificial intelligence and machine learning in the expertise behind them. And it's clear to me that Alberta is a world leader in this field, in the research and innovation using artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, or Amii as we've been discussing today, is at the heart of the action in that space. Amii has some of the brightest minds on the planet when it comes to this field, and they are working hard to apply their unique talents to solving problems in new ways, whether it be from the industries like oil and gas, to healthcare, from finance to agriculture, and so much more. Alberta's government is a supporter of the important work that Amii and the companies like it are doing all across this province, and we want to see that work continue, to accelerate, and to expand. We are taking action to ensure that Alberta is a destination of choice for innovators and inventors across Canada and around the world, so that they can develop their ideas into companies and create jobs here in Alberta. So today's announcement is just another signal that when it comes to technology and innovation, Alberta's government is keen to attract investment that creates jobs that will grow and diversify Alberta's economy. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. Technology is not just an industry, it is the future of every industry. And because of Amii and other innovators and inventors across this province, Alberta's future is bright. Thank you very much.
All right. With that, we'll go to the phones. Each reporter can get one question and one follow-up. Operator, can you please put through the first caller?
The first caller is Ashley Joanna, Post Media. Edmonton, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. This is a question for Cam. I'm looking for specific details about exactly what this money will be spent on, and I'm hoping you can help me.
Yeah, so the money itself is to work with local companies to be able to accelerate them up the AI adoption spectrums. So we work with companies on, training them early on to identify opportunities to be able to use AI, to be able to validate that these are opportunities that they can actually go after, and then to be able to actually coach them through the implementation of this. So our entire goal when we work with a company is to be able to build that capacity into them so that it's not just, throw a problem at us, here's a solution back, but they have that internal knowledge and internal capacity that's giving them a competitive advantage. The funding from Alberta Environment and Parks through TIER is focused that same program, but on the energy and agriculture spaces to be able to specifically dive deep there and target that same thing, but around emissions reduction problems and coaching companies through emission reduction problems.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have a follow-up, Ashley?
No, that's good, thanks.
Okay. Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
The next question is from Fletcher Kent, Global News. Please go ahead.
My apologies, just had you on mute there. Thank you so much. My question's for the minister. How much of this is potentially a policy change in direction? I know I spoke with a number of tech companies following the cancellation of the digital media tax credits and the tax rebates, and when there was backing off of the $100 million commitment from the previous government to Amii as well. So how much of this do you think represents a shift in direction?
Well, I think it just indicates that we've listened. You know what? We weren't perfect when we came into this, and you know what? We have a lot of work to do going ahead. But if you take a look at what we've done over the last few months through this recovery plan, putting $175 million into the Alberta Enterprise Corporation so that we can invest in these startup companies through venture capital, making sure that we got the innovation grant right to make sure we can have that competitive edge when it comes to these growing companies. And then the announcement just yesterday around intellectual property to make sure we can take those ideas and turn them into businesses and jobs more efficiently. To the announcement today about making sure we can continue to be a world leader in AI and machine learning. You know what? Alberta government has recognized that this is the future of our economy in so many different ways. We're going to build on our traditional economy, but this is just going to make sure we have those additional opportunities for all of Albertans. It literally is a global race. We've recognized that. We have a lot of work to do to make sure everybody understands that across Alberta. Everybody in Alberta should know what Amii is. Everybody in Alberta, just the way Albertans can name off oil and gas companies, Albertans should be able to name off Amii. It should be at the tip of their tongue when they're going out there and talking about opportunities in Canada, talking about opportunities internationally. This should be at the tip of their tongue. It's a point of pride for Alberta to be at the forefront of this amazing opportunity that's ahead. This is, as Laura Kilgrew mentioned, $16 trillion economy ahead in this exact space. And right now, we are a world leader in this area. All of Canada needs to know that. All of Alberta needs to know that. We need to raise its profile and restore that confidence so as we come out of this pandemic, Albertans know that there's a clear path for them to have jobs. There's a clear path for that future generation. Because right now we have high unemployment with our young Albertans, 25% unemployment. Many Albertans in that young category have told me, do I have a future in this province? Do I have a future in Alberta? They're wondering, they're questioning that. They look at me in my 40s and said, your generation had it easier than mine. What about me? What about our opportunities? And I say to them, take a look at what Amii can bring. Take a look at our direction that we're going to go as a province. There is hope on the horizon for you. We are going to emerge out of this pandemic stronger together by making sure that we as Albertans invest in these strategic opportunities for us. There will be opportunities and we will emerge through this as a strong province.
As a follow-up, Minister, you mentioned how government has listened here. Do you regret any of those decisions about some of the tax credits and tax rebates earlier on?
Hey, I'm 3 weeks on the job. I'm just excited about the work that we got ahead.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
The next question is from Chris Farco, Calgary Herald. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is a message for Cam. Last year there was a discussion that Amii was going to open up an office in Calgary with the announcement of $100 million of funding from the prior government, which was going to come over 5 years. Then that appeared to be maybe a decision to back away from that. Can you give me an update on where your decision is on Amii with regards to Calgary and the status of your office?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing is that we're in the middle of a pandemic where almost everything's being done virtually. So, where offices are located, we're kind of everywhere in a sense. So from that perspective, what, as far as physical locations are going to mean for us going forward is still, a bit of a question. Our goal is to focus less on that and make sure that everybody in the province can have access to the brain power that we have here. And, we're going to, coming out of this, figure out what the best way to make that happen is, regardless of what, physical location means. So we care far more about access and connection points in than, just signs on doors type thing.
Do you have a follow-up, Chris?
Yeah, just a question for the Minister. Minister, you mentioned that you had discussions with leaders in the technology sector over the past week, and I'm wondering if the government is receptive to providing more funding to the industry beyond what you've already announced to try and attract more investment here, whether it's in matching funds or putting more money into the enterprise corporation.
Yeah, just watch us this fall. This is the beginning of numerous announcements that are coming. There's bright opportunities in this space and more news to come on that front. We're really looking forward to working with Amii and so many of the other innovators that we have in the province of Alberta about making sure we give them every resource possible when it comes to policy, when it comes to the legal framework, to make sure that they can be successful from taking it from the ideas and commercializing it into businesses and jobs. That is going to be where we're going to be laser focused on that front and making sure Alberta is the most competitive jurisdiction in the world when it comes to getting this done for our businesses and our opportunities.
Do you have a follow-up? Oh, sorry. Operator, can you please go to the next caller?
The next question is from Dan Grummett, CTV News. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. It's for Minister Schweitzer. Kind of piggybacking on what Fletcher asked, as recently as last fall, diversification was kind of touted more as a long-term goal of the Alberta government. In fact, the finance minister told the Calgary Chamber of Commerce we'll have the luxury of diversifying revenues once the budget is balanced. I think you can see that we're further away from that happening than ever. So what's changed? You say we should speed it up now. So should this announcement mark at least a slight shift away from oil and gas? And how does that change? How do these further announcements you say we should be expecting change your approach to bolstering the oil and gas sector?
Well, there's going to be a bunch of announcements on a whole bunch of different industry areas, and we're going to have that as a part of our recovery plan. But the one thing that I will point out, this pandemic has been an opportunity to reflect. Where do we want to be as a province? What direction do we want to go as we emerge out of this pandemic? What are the opportunities for now that are here in our backyard with things like Amii, AI, machine learning, where we are at the forefront of the world in this technology space? What can we do to make sure that we can accelerate it? How do we put Amii on steroids to make sure it is the biggest animal in the room, to make sure that it can grow and have those opportunities ahead? That's where we are focused. And I'm 3 weeks on the job on this, and we are just scratching the surface in this province with the opportunities that we have ahead. Other jurisdictions, and this is the thing that's really exciting, I'm talking to people in Vancouver and Toronto, and they're hearing the pace that we're already going, and these conversations that we've already had this week, and they're starting to look at Alberta a little bit differently. They're starting to say, you know what, there are opportunities in Alberta. They're going to go faster. And that's our challenge to the rest of the world, the challenge to the rest of the country. We're coming. We're going to move fast. And I hope that they can even keep up. It's a good challenge to have. That's a competitive market. I bet you BC and Ontario are going to look at us and say, hey, how can we keep up with Alberta here in short order? So if we're putting our flag in the ground, we're going to move fast, make sure that our policies reflect that as well. And the reason why I emphasize that, government structures have been set up for a traditional economy. And that has gotten us a long way. It's given us an immense amount of opportunity in the province of Alberta. Now we have to make sure Alberta not only has the most competitive environment for the traditional economy, but the most competitive environment for the growing, emerging economy that is here now in the province of Alberta. Now let's make sure that it can have the tools it needs to be successful.
You have a follow-up, Dan?
Yeah, just should this mark, does this mark a slight shift away from oil and gas?
You know, I think that these technologies like Amii are going to make the oil and gas industry even more competitive. It's going to solve their climate issues. It's going to make sure that they're the most competitive industry around the world. So this isn't an either or. This is about how do you take technology and build it into every business. Technology in isolation isn't a job. It has to have a service that goes along with it. It has to be selling something to be something that's commercial. So how do you use technology to go into every line of business that's out there? That is the opportunity. That's why the sky is the limit. If you're at the forefront of AI and machine learning, you can get into every possible business in the world. So if we can commercialize this and scale it, all of a sudden you're on the map. We're just scratching the surface on it. This is just the beginning for Alberta. And we are so fortunate about the fact that we had leaders in this province that saw this decades ago. They saw this opportunity decades ago. Well, we in the province have been focused so much on the oil and gas industry. You know what? That's brought us so much prosperity, and it's a big foundation of our traditional economy. What we have here, though, and it grew organically in this province with some people that had foresight for the future. We are lucky. We should be making sure that every Albertan out there knows that we are a world leader in this growing sector that's going to unlock potential and jobs that none of us have even dreamed of. And that's why we have to make sure we're here to set that pace and have a government that is able to keep up. We're going to try to keep up because these guys are moving so fast. And if we have a government that's willing to keep up and make sure that we always are adapting with them and having policies that work for them, that is the path ahead to make sure Alberta is at the forefront of entrepreneurship. We like to talk about entrepreneurship, but I think sometimes when people hear that, they're thinking about the traditional economy. But we can also be the leading entrepreneurs in this exact space as well. So that's what our government is focused on. And you can comment if that's a pivot or not, but I think that this is just smart policy to make sure we take advantage of the assets that we have here in the province.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.